Okay, so here we are. Let's play Namco Museum, episode 2.5. I'm sorry for the long delay, but the original audio got canned at some point. So, this is me doing a redubbing. It actually I found out that it was destroyed when I was editing this, so I couldn't give it to you guys last week, sadly. I was also sort of a little bit busy. I actually went to a grad night on Wednesday, so I wasn't able to be at home in order to fix the issue, guys. So I'm very sorry. I had a thought that I could do this, but I just figured I'll do it this way. So today, we are playing Rally X. Rally X, if you've never played it, is a very fun game. It's, once again, a classic Namco Arcade game. That's sort of how these work. But, out of every game on here, we have some really good ones. Pac-Man, Galaga, Bosconian. Even against all of those, Rally X, and specifically New Rally X, is my favorite. This is going to be a very long special, because when I was playing it, I started out with a 10-minute timer for each of them. I ended up ignoring that timer and going on to about 35 minutes of record time, I think. It was well worth it, though, because these games are truly fun. And, you know, this is a Namco Museum, so some minor things happen. But, yeah. I have to admit, I fail at this game a lot. And by that, I mean, it's just... well, you'll see what I mean by this once we get into it. But how this game works is fairly simple. You can turn directions using the arrow buttons, and you can fart gas. I can't remember exactly which button farts gas. I think it might just be any, but you know, I can't remember for sure. Yeah. So here's Rally X. Actually, I think it might be the X button only, but I can't remember for sure right now. Oh. So as you can probably tell, I am not the best at this game. Out of every game that's on this collection, though, this is definitely speaking the one that I've played the most. But that's not saying much. However, though, I hope you guys will enjoy this. It's a game that I had a lot of fun with, and here I was testing out what happens when you run out of fuel. Because I actually couldn't remember. That was my first off test round to remember how the game works and everything like that, you know, playing around with it. It's definitely fun though, guys. If you've ever had the chance to play Rally X, you'll know what I mean. So, the mini-map on the left... no, the mini-map on the right, I'm sorry guys. The mini-map on the right is a godsend in this game, because there's so much that you have to remember. The original one, this version, is way inferior compared to its sequel, New Rally X. However, as you can see, I suck at this game, and that was just me resetting, because there's no way I can get very far in this if I don't. Yeah, so Rally X is actually one of the first ever arcade games by Namco. It's fairly early on in their lifespan, but it really does show to be one of the best. Pole Position is next week's game. So yeah, but the thing about Pole Position is it's, in my opinion, just not as fun. You know, it's more serious racing game, whereas this is very much so cartoony antics. Think of this as a childhood game. Oh, I finally move on to the next stage here, which I sadly won't keep for very long, but... So how this game works is, once you collect all of the flags, you move on to the next stage. Your point is to avoid rocks and avoid other cars. Those two both kill you. Yeah. This hurts to watch even because of just how hard it is to get a good run. But I decided I didn't want to cut anything out of it because I wanted to show you guys an actual playthrough of Rally X. Luckily, Namco Museum gives you infinite corridors, or it would be a lot harder. So yeah, if you don't, or if you haven't picked up on it yet, whenever you find the flag with the S on it, it doubles the rest of, or it doubles your points for all flags that you pick up from then on out. Wow, I almost forgot how hard it was. And by hard it was, I mean just, I sort of am terrible at games, if you can't tell. But yeah. So another cool thing to note is that even though this game is by all means a fun game, the original one is inferior in a lot of ways. The sequel to it, which is New Rally X, is a significantly better game. Just on, well, sneak attacks, but just based off of sheer force of will. The original is a bit cliched and, you know, not really cliched, but you can definitely tell that the original one had a great idea, did some amazing execution for the time, but you can also tell if you are a fairly avid gamer that the second one is the better game. The second one is, well, I guess the best way to describe the sequel is that the sequel takes everything good about the original and expands on it. While the original has some great concepts for characters, well, not character, but, you know, for the stage layout, and just generally speaking, is a very fun game, it's New Rally X where you start to see all of these elements come together. So this is a challenging stage. The cars at the bottom never move, and you just drive around trying to collect all of the flags that you can. It is fairly challenging, though, given the fact that there's so many rocks and everything in the way. I can't remember if I win or lose this one. I think I do win it, though. So at the end of every stage, the remaining fuel that you have gets tallied up, and however much fuel that is at the end gets added into your score. And that's fairly important, because score in this game is very much so important if you want to keep on playing. It's not a game that you can take lightly. I loved making my escape from a fairly tough situation like that. That's always a very exhilarating feeling whenever you can make it through a situation like that. Oh, whoa, what's happening, man? Okay, I will be right back, guys. Sorry, my video just froze on Pinnacle, which is weird, but nevertheless, we're continuing on, and this is when I was getting good at the game again, because, as I said, I had played this a lot, and when I play Bosconian, you'll notice that I have a lot of experience with that one in particular. that is the game I've played the most on the game. It's the one that I've played the most on Namco Museum, despite the fact that, well, it's not my favorite Namco game by any means. I'd probably say, actually, out of all of the collection, New Rally X is my favorite, which is pretty fun. I mean, you know, it's pretty impressive that a game that, for the most part, was just looked over by arcade-going crowds, at least in the modern day, it's seemingly forgotten. It's amazing how that game could manage to worm into our minds and become such an important piece of our history. Yeah, so, well, it's like, well, I have been playing this game for a while. I can't remember. I think I might be getting close to ending it. I actually can't remember exactly when I ended this first one, but since they both showed up in the same area anyways, I just count them as one game. Even though they obviously aren't, they were two different... Ah, here we go. This is where I end up just saying, this is it. There we go. I was like, yeah, I think this is right around the time that it's ending. Okay. Not bad, not bad, not bad. So, yeah, whereas this game isn't the most advanced or even the best of them, I always think of this particular game. You know, I always think of Rally X when I think of Namco. I don't know, Namco just does very well in my mind. Out of all the companies that I've played games of, it's usually Namco that manages to stick in my mind for the longest. Okay, yeah. Apparently I'm still going with it. You know, I think this is right around the same time that I said just fudge it. So, I've actually got a lot of exciting news. For instance, one of the big pieces is I am about to graduate. Yeah, I'm about to graduate high school, which is pretty exciting. Yeah, and you know, of course there is some things different, but yeah, that's a pretty important thing in my life, at least. It might not be the most important thing that I do. Heck, I've already been accepted to college, so not even in my... Like, so not even, like, in terms of schooling is it the most important thing that I've done so far. But, you know, I've still got that going, where it's exciting. It's not a thing that happens every day. In fact, it's a thing that happens so rare that we make it into a honorary, like, legendary day that, you know, in our culture is considered to be one of the most important days of a person's life, in fact. You know, it's obviously not the most important in, like, most people's lives, really, but as far as culturally it's concerned, it definitely is one of the most important days that any student has. not the best day, obviously. Heck, it's fairly tame in comparison to other days, but it's an exciting day nonetheless, and I really do have high hopes for it. But here we go. Now I'm switching on over to the next game, aka New Rally X. Better Rally X is more like it. New Rally X is, definitely speaking, the better game, as I've mentioned before. But at the same time, though, I do feel as though I've been giving Rally X a lot of crack that I don't think it deserves. I mean, it might not be the best Rally X game out there. It's definitely not the best Namco game out there. In fact, it might not even be a particularly good game. But it's one of my favorites. And what matters more than that? It's one of my favorites, so just go away if you don't like it. What am I supposed to do, babysit you? Yeah. You know, these games are exciting to me. Ooh, did I hear something? Oh, darn it, the video froze again. There we go, guys, it's back up. I really hate that video being worked a bit. But here's New Rally X. New paint scheme, far better music. I'm sure that somebody will disagree with me and say that the original has better music, but what can I say? This has always been my favorite soundtrack of the series. In fact, it's the most nostalgic arcade music of all time, as far as I'm concerned. Really, I didn't go to too many arcades at the time, because arcades for the most part were dead by the time I was, you know, being brought up, but arcades are still a cultural piece that are important here in SoCal. You know, the place that you're not supposed to be from, because everybody there is a racist bigot, or everybody there is just a rich knuck-up brat, or whatever excuse they give as to why Californians are horrible people. Seriously, have you ever noticed that? If we followed, like, popular media, Californians are, like, the worst humans around. But, yeah. I'm proud to be a Californian, and I'm also very proud of my Indianan past as well, because my family comes from Indiana. No surprises there. Those of you who've heard me talk, it's sort of apparent that, you know, some Midwestern state. As to the exact whereabouts, I'm sure some of you didn't know for sure, but it is in fact Indiana. Which is, you know, pretty nice, if you ask me. Indiana's a fairly nice state, very much so better than, like, Minnesota. Sorry, Minnesotans, but you guys aren't good. You guys aren't as good, culturally speaking. You guys are a lot, well, more Canadian than I would like. I mean that in the nicest way possible, obviously, but I also can't help that you guys just aren't as good sports-wise either. There's a lot of minor rivalries in the United States, a lot of which revolve around schools or sports teams, but there are the occasional state-based rivalries, like, as I mentioned, everybody in the Union and California. Basically, if you aren't California, you don't like California, probably. I don't know why, it's just the way it is. Nobody likes California, apparently. I know, it's a bit weird, a bit queer, as they say, but it's how it is. I mean, I'm not going to complain too much. California is a weird state full of even weirder people. If California was, well, a person, he'd be the weird guy in your group. He'd be, well, the guy who plays arcade games all the time and talks about Sonic the Hedgehog more than he probably more than any human should. But, yeah. Oh yeah, so, what's your guys' opinions on Shadow so far, if you've watched an episode of it, which, apparently, none of you have. Watch Shadow the Hedgehog if you're into this, please. I know they're long episodes, they'll only get shorter as time goes on, though. But, for now, as is fairly obvious, there's nothing I can do about the length, because, well, hey, Shadow the Hedgehog, man. But, yeah, Shadow the Hedgehog is one of the better games. I wouldn't say it's the best game that I have, but definitely one of my better games. But, yeah. So, yeah. How have you guys been enjoying this so far? Also, for those of you who keep up with it, did any of you hear how, the Brexit is looking right now? I don't know, to me, who's not involved in it, it looks pretty interesting right now. Yeah. So, also, do any of you have any suggestions of games that I should pick up for after this? I have a few ideas. I'm thinking about doing a how to best put it? I'm thinking about doing an old classic of mine, but I'd like to hear from you guys. If any of you have any suggestions as to what I should do, please comment them in. I mean, chances are I will eventually see them. For those of you who have been enjoying this series so far, thank you a lot for your continued patronage, and I hope that you continue on with it. For those of you who are starting out this episode because you guys read the title, what are you doing starting out on 2.5? Go watch episode 0 if you want to get caught up, but yeah, these games are fun, a bit tiring. Episode 3 should be on its way. Episode 3 entirely got cut, or well, not cut, destroyed, I should say. As in, when I went to play back the video, it was in a jumbled mess. Hence why you didn't have episode 3 out last week instead. Again, I'm sorry that my recording process has some issues, and I have been working on getting rid of the kinks, not kicks. I've also been trying to get rid of kicks as well. If any of you guys know where I can pick up some nice shoes, message me, because of the fact that I just want to meet somebody who calls them kicks. Like, come on, shoes, kicks, it's a bit weird. this is pretty nice, too. So, this is a bit of a weird question, but is there anybody out there who owns multiple copies of the same game because they bought a copy of the game after having lost their original copy for many, many years, only to then find it the same freaking day that you just ordered it, but not wanting to cancel it because you're getting a box copy instead of just a loose disc? That's what happened to me not too long ago with Legoland of all games. If anybody actually remembers Legoland, please message me, because... not message me, but please mention it down below. Say your favorite memory with this. It's, in my opinion, a good game. I know many people would disagree with me, but I know many people would disagree with anything I say, regardless. Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys, I don't know why I paused there. I think that might have been my alarm going off or something like that. I hope you guys don't mind this weird post-commentary. It's a thing I only plan on doing if something goes wrong with my audio. But, who knows, if somebody likes it, I mean, you could always mention that you like it. Maybe I'll try to do it again at some point if I have enough people who really enjoyed it. But something tells me I had nobody who enjoyed it. But I think this is about it, guys. I will see you all in the next episode of Let's Play Namco Museum. I hope you all enjoyed. Peace out.